And then another meeting.
It is 5 o'clock. We will go ahead and begin this meeting of the Kokomo City Board of Zoning Appeals. I would ask if you have a cell phone, just to make sure that's on silent. And then I would invite you to stand and join us as we do the Pledge of Allegiance and have a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first item on the agenda this evening is the approval of the minutes from the Tuesday, June 7th, 2022 meeting.
Motion to approve minutes of June 7th, 2022, BZA meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We do have on our agenda this evening 2 cases. I will point out that our board has 5 voting members. Tonight, 4 of those voting members are present. So I always like to point that out to petitioners in advance. Sometimes petitioners feel like they might need all 5 people because it takes 3 votes to pass a case. So you have that option. If you think you'd prefer to present to a full board, hopefully the full board will be here next time. When it's your turn, just request that when you get to the mic. So our first case to be heard this evening is case P12-V-22.
Yes, petition of Kokomo RCFLP requesting a variance of 4.0 feet to section 3.18 medium side yard setback. This is at 408 South Washington Street.
Okay, do I have a motion on this case?
I move that we approve case number P12-V-22 and adopt the findings of the petitioner as those of the board and make those findings part of the record.
Second.
All right, thank you both. Have we had anyone had any ex parte communication regarding this case?
No, sir.
Okay, so whoever's representing this case, if you'd step to the microphone, please state your name and address and then tell us what's going on.
Thank you. My name is Mark Laubacher, and I'm representing the property at 408 South Washington. So this is the Silver Birch of Kokomo community, which was constructed about 5 years ago. Since the construction of that community, the city of Kokomo has built a recreation path near the creek. And so what this variance would do is to permit us to deed to the city of Kokomo a portion of the land where the recreation path is on. In order to do that, so the front yard for this property is considered the side that faces Washington Street, and the side that faces Wildcat Creek is considered a side yard. And so there's a 20-foot setback. This would make it a 16-foot setback. However, until the city of Kokomo decides to build something on this incredibly narrow parcel, nothing will change for the visual appearance for the citizens of the city of Kokomo.
Okay. Thank you.
Just so everyone knows, that, you know, when Silver Birch was constructed 5 years ago, it was everything was done up to code. But since they have decided to deed some of this land back to the city of Kokomo, that changed their setback. That's why they're before us tonight. And just so everyone knows, with that being in the floodway like it is, nothing else could be constructed there anyway. So the aesthetic value of it will never be changed because of the floodway.
Okay.
So basically, they own part of our trail project.
Correct.
Which means they have a longer setback. They would like to give that back to us so that the city owns, maintains it, can improve it if necessary, but that results in the variance. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have a copy of your findings there?
I do.
Okay, if you would go ahead and read those into the record.
Certainly. Petitioner's finding of fact: 1, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Approval of the proposed variance will not be injurious to the public, as it will not affect the public. Given the condition of the recreation path parcel, narrow, steep grade, and adjacent to Wildcat Creek, it is extremely unlikely that the city of Kokomo would ever construct a building on this parcel. Thus, the visual appearance of the streetscape will not change for the citizens of Kokomo. It is extremely unlikely that any change of land use will occur with the granting of this variance and the transfer of the recreation path parcel. 2, use and value of the adjacent property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The visual appearance of the streetscape will not change for the citizens of Kokomo. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in this variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. This variance does not request approval to construct any new buildings. 3, the strict application of this zoning ordinance will result in a practical difficulty. This situation shall not be self-imposed, nor should be based on a perceived reduction or restriction of economic gain. The city of Kokomo should have free access to the recreation trail that it constructed. The proposed transfer of the recreation trail parcel will provide the city of Kokomo this free access. The variance is necessary to allow the transfer of the recreation trail parcel to the city of Kokomo without creating a zoning nonconformity for the existing building on the subject parcel.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board for the petitioner? Mr. Sheehan, if you read the staff findings?
Yes.
Oh. Well,
Not quite yet.
I don't understand what it is that he wants to do here.
Well, hang on a second, we'll get to that in just a second, okay? Staff findings for case P12V22. The approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The requested variance will not create any safety hazards, block vision, or impede on any recorded easement. It will not be injurious to the public. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Granting the requested variance for a reduced side yard setback for the existing building will not impact the neighboring properties in an adverse manner. It will grant control over this portion of the trail back to the city of Kokomo, a good outcome for the city and its citizens. As the neighboring property is in the trail, it is unlikely that other buildings will be placed nearby to be impacted by the reduced setback. A strict application of the terms of this zoning ordinance will result in a practical difficulty. This situation shall not be self-imposed nor be based on a perceived reduction of or restriction of economic gain. The reason the petitioner is requesting this variance after the fact is because Silver Birch is returning a portion of the property to the city, so their property line is moving closer to the existing building. If the variance is not granted, the existing Silver Birch building will not have a legal setback and may have issues with sale or transfer of the property in the future.
okay, thank you. Having heard the petitioner's findings, the staff findings, do any board members have any questions? Okay, sir, this time if you'd step to the microphone. Yeah, if you,
I just,
yeah, so,
it's the first time I've been here. You know,
Sure.
Okay.
I don't,
so, your name and address, your name,
my name is Don Bowling.
okay?
I live 1101 East Mulberry, and I own the property there. The reason why I'm here at the meeting, I was sent a letter
Okay,
about.
well, that's for the next case, Mr. Bowen. That's for the
Okay,
next
and
case.
I didn't understand
That's
that
okay.
either.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
that's
that-
for the next
that's-
case. Nope, you're fine. You're good.
Is there anyone else, regarding the Silver Birch case P12-V-22? Okay, so we do have a motion for the approval of case P12-V-22 and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Okay, our next case to be heard is case P13-V-22.
This petition of Trip Engineering and Consulting requested a variance of 7 spaces to section 6.48 parking, variance of 16.2% to section 3.32, maximum lot coverage, variance of 5 feet to section 3.32, minimum front yard setback, variance of 5 feet to section 3.32, minimum side yard setback, and variance of 20 feet to section 3.32. minimum rear yard setback. This is property at 310 East Jefferson Street.
I have a motion on this case.
I move that we approve case number P-13-V-22 and adopt the findings of the petitioner as those of the boards and make those findings part of the record.
Second.
Thank you. Have any board members had any ex parte communication regarding this case?
No, sir.
Okay, would the petitioner come to the microphone, please? And if you'll state your name and address for the record and kind of tell us what it is you're wanting to do here.
Ken Lucas, 1630 West, 300 South, Kokomo, 46902. Property that we're talking about here is kind of an odd-shaped lot here in the downtown area. We're really trying to address the shortage of storage for a lot of the apartments and things like that that are downtown. There's also some warehousing that's kind of in the vicinity of this vacant lot. We own a couple properties right there in that area. There's also a building on the lot that will be torn down that's a little bit of an eyesore. It would definitely improve the look if we tore that down and move forward on this project we're talking about. So again, we're just really trying to complement the housing options that are downtown. Obviously, there's a lot of residential downtown now. It is an area that's surrounded by warehouses. So really what we're doing is not going to affect much in the way of what's already going on there. The land that we're talking about here has really been undeveloped for a lot of years. We purchased the property and then we had sold a house that's on this area here to Advantage Housing, and because they needed a place for restrooms and offices. So we sold that to them. So what we're wanting to do is basically go around the house that we had sold them. We're going to put many warehouses on those lots to serve everybody downtown that's living in the apartments and such. Without these variances, it'd really be hard to develop this property. It's kind of a pie-shaped. It backs up to the railroad. And the margins on a project like this are very, very tight. So we really kind of have to push it a little bit to maximize the space that we're talking about. It's not a huge area that we're trying to encompass here to build these on. And then the other thing that's great, it's going to create a tax base. Of course, you all know that. And then it's going to be a nice little construction project for labor here in town. And moving forward, I think it really cleans up the area. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Just a little side note here. When Ken came in, and Ms. Tripp came in originally, talked to us about this project, it wasn't something that I felt comfortable with. So we've talked to them, we've worked through the process, and again, even though it looks like a lot of variances, as Mr. Lucas said, this is a very odd-shaped lots. It's very difficult to build on it without the variances. And if you look at the aerial, the 20-foot setback to the minimum rear yard is along the railroad. So that's really not in my opinion, is an issue. But these lots have been sitting vacant for a long time, and I think this is an example where we all got together and sat down and tried to come up with something that was palatable hopefully for the board and for, obviously Mr. Lucas is in this to make money. So we wanted to get enough of it done where everybody was happy with this potential development, so.
Okay, Mr. Lucas, I have a couple questions. I'm sure other board members probably will as well. If you can step to the mic, and then you can go ahead and answer these. I'm looking at the rendering provided
sir.
by the petitioner. So it looks like there's an entrance off of Jefferson, correct?
Yeah, there'd be an entrance off of Jefferson and then also exiting on Monroe.
Okay, so
So it'd be kind of a one-way in, one-way out, two automatic gates at opposing ends.
Okay, so will the access to the storage units be within,
It'll all be, yeah, there'll be, the only exception to that could be, and I don't know if we've nailed it down, the one on Jefferson Street that would face Jefferson, the larger building. It would make sense, you know, we're kind of thinking in lines of a small contractor or somebody that needed to get in and out a lot. If we had a door that faced Jefferson Street, that would be a consideration that we would definitely want, just for easy come and go on that particular building. The rest of it would all be doors that would be kind of in the alleyway, if you will, with a gate at either end.
Are you gonna fence in the whole area? Are you
Yes, sir.
fencing in there?
Well, the way it's kind of shown there, a good portion of it is going to be fenced based on the construction of the buildings themselves. So we would have gates and fence at the north and south ends, just to kind of fill in what the buildings don't close in.
The building you was talking to about restrooms and stuff, is that the building at?
I'm sorry, did you say restrooms?
608? You said something about restrooms?
No, sir. No restrooms, just,
No, the building that you said was already there.
The Advantage Housing.
Advantage Housing.
oh, Advantage Housing. So they own that
608
property. When we purchased it, they don't have restroom facilities and all that, and they're building across the street. And we really didn't want to sell it because our intent with this property was what we're talking about doing now. But, they do a great thing over there. They've really improved. I don't know if you've been by there, but the house is much nicer than it used to be. They've really upgraded the look on it. So I think it was a good move for us to sell that to them so they can continue what they do over there. And so we're just going to kind of work around that situation.
What's that property zoned?
I couldn't tell you.
Well, if it's residential, we need a buffer area by it.
Another question.
Yes, sir.
You say you're gonna tear down a building?
Yeah, there's a building that actually has been there probably for 100 years, I don't know. But I've got some drawings here. This property here,
it's kind of like the multi,
yeah, the
Or
one that kind
garage
of
there.
crosses over the borderline there.
okay.
I got you. Talking about
Right
the
here.
other guy, the old block building.
Yeah.
She's kind of sitting on the property line a little bit. You know how many total units you're gonna have?
It's going to be right at around 40 units total. A mix of smaller units, like 10 by 20-ish, and then a couple, I think there's like 3 that are going to be larger size, again, in thinking about people that have maybe a small construction business or something along those lines.
You own that building on the corner also?
Yes, sir.
Is it gonna be included in part of this as a storage unit? Or
We have one tenant in that building, and you're kind of in it for the long haul, so nothing changes there.
But it's included in that. I notice on your drawing, the second page here, that it includes that corner block there. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, we own everything except for the little house that we sold kind of in the middle there.
So it looks like it's owned, but then the storage facility goes around it, and it's fenced in around it.
And in case you missed it in your packet, the Advantage Housing that Mr. Lucas is talking about, there is a letter of support in your packet from Mr. Bliss, the executive director of Advantage Housing. He's in support of the
Where's that at?
project. So
Yeah, I think he's actually excited about having that kind of blocked off. He gets a lot of walkthrough,
I would
so,
imagine.
yeah.
I got no such information in my packet. I have none of that.
Is this it right here?
There it is.
What's gonna be the address of this location, do you know?
I don't have the answer to that. Like, would it be a Jefferson Street address or?
That's probably 310 East Jefferson.
So the backyard setback is to the east with where it crosses the railroad tracks?
Correct.
So it's got basically a buffer zone?
Yes.
With the railroad tracks?
Correct.
That's
Correct.
inactive. Okay.
I don't know how close you are, but on the
Market, well, we got Market, Jefferson.
This one north.
Let's see here.
What's this street? What's the street north?
It's weird because the way our ordinance reads,
See what's
What's the street north?
Monroe,
Monroe?
but they need
Probably
variances to
Monroe, I
backyard
assume,
and
yeah.
side yard.
You know how close you're coming to Monroe? And,
Tori, do you have the answer to that, Tori?
I don't remember. How close we are.
how close, the whole reason I'm talking about, okay, in our vision standards, you have to meet the triangle, and it's gotta be, you gotta be able to see 12 feet from 20 feet, and I don't know where this line, I know this is all what you're gonna do, but you're right on that line, and that part of the ordinance also says that that fence can't be over 3 feet tall. So if you're gonna put a taller fence, I'm really concerned about the vision triangle on the Monroe end. Just when somebody comes up there, I don't want a blind spot when somebody tries to pull up there and not be able to see.
I'll just,
I want to say we're 15.
one sec, if I can just throw out there, if anyone else, like if you're gonna speak, just for the sake of the recording, if you could come to the microphone, just so she can have it on the record. And you guys know, I think you all know the routine, the name, address, the first time, all that good stuff, so.
Tori Tripp, Tripp Engineering and Consulting, 401 South Second Street, Converse. To answer your question, Mike, I think we're 15 or 20 feet from the edge of Monroe or Jefferson to where the fence is, because we were inside the property line. That's my recollection. I could pull up the drawing and get you a
I just
dimension
want people
tomorrow.
to be aware, because the
Yep.
inside edge of the sidewalk is at 5 feet. I hate like, I don't want the thing built, and then we got a 2-foot problem because the fence is in the way, is what I'm saying.
Thank you. Just something weird to note, and maybe I don't think it's a question, but, you know, the way the ordinances are, anything facing the street is considered a front yard. So I was just pointing out to council here, that it's kind of interesting that their property faces 3 different streets, but they also have to have a side yard setback and a rear yard setback. It's kind of
It's,
just an interesting little,
it's just a, like I said, it's a very unique set of lots there that, my guess is that's one of the reasons they haven't been developed for all these years. That would be my guess. Could be wrong, but that would be my guess.
all right, any other questions from the board at this time? Okay, would you mind reading your findings of fact for us?
Number 1, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Per the ordinance, the site shall have 1 parking spot per 6 leasable units. This storage unit site will have an on-site rental office. Rentals will be handled online. Therefore, any parking will be limited to customer storage units for loading and unloading, and no parking will be necessary. With the site's odd shape, the reduction in the setbacks to 5 feet on the north, south, and west property lines and to 0 setback on the east or the rear will allow for the development of the property while maintaining vehicular access. Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantial adverse manner. The adjacent properties will see no change as parking will be confined to the customer's leasable unit for loading and unloading. With the railroad to the east and roadways to the north, south, and west, the reduction in setbacks and increased impervious area will have minimal impact. Number 3, the strict application of the terms of this zoning ordinance will result in a practical difficulty. This situation shall not be self-imposed nor be based on a perceived reduction of or restriction of economic gain. With the site's irregular shape and the downtown in need of storage units due to increased residential development, application of these ordinances will result in a property not being financially feasible for development.
Thank you. Will Mike's concerns be addressed in a, like, site plan?
Yes, correct. You talk about the vision clearance, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, just
Yes.
clarifying that, thank you. Okay, Mr. Sheehan, you won't mind reading the staff findings?
Staff findings for case P 13-V-22, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The approval of the requested variances will not create any safety hazards, block vision, or impede on any other recorded easement. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Granting the requested variances will allow the petitioner to infill several currently vacant and unused lots with a new and useful amenity for the downtown area. The strict application of the terms of this zoning ordinance will result in a practical difficulty. This situation shall not be self-imposed nor be based on a perceived reduction of or restriction of economic gain. The petitioner faces a practical difficulty in the odd size and shape of the lots. If the requested variances are not granted, the lots will not be developed and left vacant as the existing plans have been optimized in order to make the site profitable to develop. The petitioner worked closely with Plan Commission staff in order to modify previous plans to conform more closely with the zoning ordinance while still being economically feasible for the developer.
All right, thank you. As pointed out, we do have the letter from Dale Bliss, Executive Director of Advantage Housing, who has the property just to the west, submitting the letter in support for the variances requested by the case number referenced above, case P 13-V-22. So that letter will become part of the record as well. Having heard the petitioner's information, the petitioner's findings, the staff findings, and having read Mr. Bliss's letter, are there any questions from the board at this time?
Yes, on the original, I don't know if it even matters, on the original paperwork that I received, it says it's a 6.29, and now we're saying it's something different. Is it more or less, is that critical or anything, Council?
I'm not seeing the discrepancy here.
I just read it.
Well, I mean, if it was advertised at .72, and we're saying it originally said 6.9, is that what it was? Is that what you said, Mike? It was originally 6.9 is what you thought?
Yes.
Okay,
That's
so-
paperwork, I
Okay.
just know, I saw two different numbers.
Right.
I'm
So
just
what,
asking a
yeah,
question.
what I'm saying is, since it was advertised at .7, it's the higher, so we can always go
More or
lower
less.
if it is, so, yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Anyone in the audience wishing to be heard regarding this case? You guys have anything to add? Okay, so we do have a motion and a second for the approval of case P 13-V-22. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, is there any other business to be brought before the board this evening?
I have no other business, Mr. President.
Good, okay, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion? Second?
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you, everybody.
we're
It's in the
adjourned.
description. That's where I saw it.